What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone in the quarantine zone, we got Sven from Aborted. Great to talk to you again, man.
Hey, good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been a year since we last spoke at the Knitting Factory at the Brooklyn tour.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to be back in New York this month, I guess, but
yeah,
that's not happening.
Yeah, what a shame. What a shame. But we do need to get this question out of the way, because now that Perversion is 2 years old, could we possibly be getting some new Aborted fairly soon?
Well, there's an EP coming out with 3 new songs, really. Other than that, we're just in the middle of writing, so I'd say 2021 will be when we release the next one.
Mm-hmm. Could this EP that you're releasing almost serve as kind of like a preview or maybe like a good taste of what the next album could sound like?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we have a couple songs written now. I'd say in a way yes, in a way no, because the last song on the EP we actually recorded during Perversion, but we decided to keep it for an EP because when we did Perversion, we actually had over 60 minutes of music or over 70 minutes of music or something, and we liked them all, but we didn't want to have an album that was too long, especially since there's already a lot going on, so we decided to split some stuff up. We had 3 songs already that we wanted to do the EP with, but we decided to drop 2 of them and record 2 new ones, which is what the EP turned out to be. And as far as direction goes, I guess in a way, and in another way, I think we kind of went full retard on the EP, so in between, I guess. Yeah. If that answers it at all.
Yeah, no, that definitely does. You ever worried like the songs you leave out though are going to be a B-side one day, just be the most popular song you ever made or something like that?
No. I mean, because the 2 songs we didn't put on the EP were songs we weren't very happy about. So the one that is on the EP we were very stoked about, but we had to make some choices, and it's a democracy in the band, so we had to make some compromises to leave it off the record, and we're glad it's on the EP because we like that song. But the other 2 were things we weren't too stoked about, which is why they're not on the EP, because we could have easily had a 5-song EP then, but we'd rather have 3 tracks that we really liked than, add 2 that didn't feel like made too much sense.
Yeah, quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're not too happy with it, you can't expect other people to be as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One thing I was always curious about is, I may have asked you this at the Brooklyn show, but like being that you have so many albums out now, and like when you look at like the purity of Perversion comparing to like Perversion or Retro Gore or anything like that, I mean, do you still take a new approach to every single album, or at this point in the career of Aborted, you kind of have like a sound that you tend to stick with?
I mean, we do have sound, but I would say it's ever evolving. I like to think that every record sounds a little different from the previous one, but we have the same main songwriters for the last couple records, so obviously that shows. But at the same time, we're always pushing boundaries and see what can we do to add to this, or what can we fine tune or make better or make different, or because what's the point in writing exactly the same record as the last one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are some bands that kind of are able to do that, like a Cannibal Corpse or something like that, where like, they'll be happy to get like the same sort of like traditional death metal record. But I mean, in Aborted, I see like very atmospheric elements, very technical elements, and I think almost feel like that every record, while it is an Aborted record, there is a growing evolution behind it.
That's what we're trying to, at least, so thanks for picking up on that.
Yeah. Is that why maybe in 2019 we didn't get like a tour where you played the purity of Perversion in full or something like that?
No, we just didn't have time. I mean, we released, I guess, when was Perversion released? 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were still busy touring on Perversion in 19, so...
Yeah. A lot of people were like, were a lot of diehard death metal fans were like expecting, okay, so 20-year anniversary of this album, and I think the Purity of Perversion was on that list.
Well, to be honest, the initial idea of the EP was to have it released last year, or when it was 20 years since the first album, and we wanted to actually re-record a bunch of old tracks and throw them on there too, but we just ran out of time, and then the tour that we were supposed to have it out on, like a bunch of shit went wrong with the recordings of the EP. Actually, the guy that tracked the drums kind of made a mess out of things, so everything got delayed, and then Cola fixed everything, and that's why it was supposed to come out in this next tour.
Well, one thing I was really curious about is having many different members come and go from Aborted, and like, you know, having many different people contributing to it. I'd imagine that for you as a vocalist also has to maybe open up your new ideas for you and for the band in general, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody has their own stamp, except, you know, you have some people that don't write. I mean, that's just how it is. You have musicians that are great musicians, but that doesn't mean that they're songwriters. But most of the people that got in the band, you know, had their own stamp on things, and I think as a singer, of course, that influences you in a way, because you get to learn new things that they listen to. But also, I'm pretty open-minded, so I check out a lot of different things, and obviously, you know, through touring all these years, you get to meet a lot of different colleagues that do the same shit, that have a completely different approach. So you get influenced from, you know, all sorts of angles.
Yeah. For you being a songwriter, do ideas or inspiration, does it come out of the blues sometimes, or do you kind of have to like put yourself in a certain element for lyrical ideas or musical ideas to come to play?
When it comes to music, usually it's feeding back off each other. Most of it, like for Perversion 2, I think most of the Perversion got written by Ken, but he just come up with like demo ideas, and then we just go back and forth with everybody. I give some ideas on the structure, or some riff ideas, or, you know, whatever. Everybody gets involved in that. As far as the lyrics go, I usually it depends. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm lazy, but I work better under pressure. Mm-hmm. So usually I'll work out the vocal patterns way in advance. Like as soon as, like, I'll listen to the songs a million times and like start playing with vocal ideas, but the lyrics themselves only get written like sometimes it's literally an hour before recording them.
Well, I mean, I think that has to work out for the best, because nothing could be more heartbreaking than having like the best lyrics ever and then seeing how they're like one syllable over or under the whole arrangement.
Yeah, I always work from the standing and from the point of view of first getting the patterns and then writing lyrics to the pattern, because to me that's much more efficient and just benefits the music rather than trying to force words in that don't fit. Mm-hmm. But for EP and for, I think, Perversion 2, we did pre-productions of almost everything, so I actually had to write the lyrics to do the pre-productions, and then, you know, you go in studio, you let it sit for a while, and because you did pre-productions, you listen back to it, and you're like, well, you know what, I got a better idea, and then you go back in, you change the lyrics, change the vocal patterns a little bit, and then eventually it's actually way cooler on the album, since you have the privilege of being able to do that, since we can't rehearse. So
definitely. I'm interested in this EP that you're releasing, because did you change the song, being that you mentioned that these were some like a couple songs or a song or two that you left off of Perversion, did you adjust or change the songs at all, or are these songs kind of like the initial take of when they were first made?
You mean the one song that was also from Perversion?
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's literally the same mix and master from Perversion.
Okay.
So we didn't touch it.
Oh yeah, because I was curious to like how much a song changes like throughout the entirety of it. Like when we hear the final version of a song, how much has it changed in the process of it?
Oh, that really depends. I mean, sometimes it's got like 2-3 different versions, and sometimes there's 40. So, because like you like the song and it's cool, but it's just not there yet. But you see the potential, so you just keep pushing until you get it to where you want it to be, and then the end result is everybody's happy, and that's actually satisfying, especially after 20 versions or something.
Yeah, of course. Another thing I'm curious about is when you look at the entirety of the Aborted catalog, from Engineering the Dead to Global Flatline to Slaughter and Apparatus, like, is it almost kind of like representative on who you are at that particular time as well? Is there almost kind of like a self-portrait aspect to it in a way?
Partially, I think. Definitely from coronary reconstruction on. The whole Slaughter and Apparatus strychnine period, I was barely involved, to be honest. I don't like those records as well, so that's a whole different story.
Oh, come on.
But I don't like them.
All right, to each his own.
Yeah, I mean, I have my reasons too. Things in the band were pretty shit then. With some of the people in the band too, so I didn't have a good time either, and it's very hard for me to like these recordings where I know everything that happened,
Yeah.
So it's on a personal level too. I mean, if people want to like those records, go for it. That's cool. It's totally fine. Just for me, I have my reasons not to be into them. But we have a lot of records out. We've been out for a long time, so if that's just the one record I can be not happy with, then that's cool for me.
That is very true. That out of all of your albums, if there's only one that you, I mean, I think you're ahead of a lot of people in the world of metal bands.
Yeah, I guess there's about two that I'm not too stoked on. Purity of Perversion. It's not that I don't like the songs. It's just I was super ill when we recorded, and I never liked how it turned out, but we were out of budget and out of time, so we had to put it out the way it was. But it was our first record. I was still super stoked when it came out, because back then, even having an album out was just like, when you start as a local band, it's just you if that's like the ultimate goal, like, holy shit, can we do an album? At least back in the day, because you had to go through a label. There was no home recording, no internet, none of that shit. So yeah.
Well, I've always said that your first record being super successful could almost be like a disadvantage in a way. So
yeah, I guess maybe. I've never thought about it. I mean, honestly, we've just been working on music that we liked and just continue to do it, because you don't play death metal for money, in my opinion. It's something that you do because you like to do it.
Yeah. Another thing I was curious about is when I interviewed you at the Brooklyn show that you did last year in Knitting Factory, that was actually my first time ever seeing Aborted live, ever, and it was amazing. It was a completely different experience simply seeing you live than simply just listening to the album. For you, though, is there maybe a similar energy that you put into your live presence as you do when you're making music, or is it a separate art altogether?
I mean, it's different in a way, because in the studio you're focusing on getting the perfect performance and just making sure everything sounds as best as they can and getting the best out of you performance-wise vocally. Whereas live, you're putting on a show, you're getting out all that energy, and sometimes I skip some parts because I don't have unlimited fucking cardio running around like a retard, so it's a completely different experience for me as well, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'd imagine, like, is there ever a time, this might be a very stupid question, so I do apologize if it is, but, like, is there a time where maybe you witness something at a live show? There's a famous saying that art comes out of art, so, like, can, like, maybe playing live also enhance maybe the creative process in a way?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for sure that whenever we play live, we play new songs live and shit. It's going to dictate what we're doing next, because you see what works, what doesn't on the stage, how the crowd interacts with it. Sometimes you're writing something and you got it on a record and you're like, all right, this is going to be cool live and we're going to do this and the crowd's going to respond to it, and then you do it and then it doesn't happen. You're like, what the
Yeah. Yep.
But and then other songs that you think are gonna suck ass live actually turn out cool. So it's always, it's interesting to see that kind of dynamic.
Yeah. And also because you have so many albums out now that like putting a set list together live has to also be a major pain in the ass, right?
Oh yeah, it fucking sucks.
I wouldn't go that extreme, but really.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, if you can play an hour, it's doable because you can put a little of everything. But then when you get a tour offer and the slot time is half an hour, then it really becomes a problem.
Yeah, that could be an issue. And last but not least, the final question I wanted to ask you is, unfortunately the tour with Napalm Death sadly fell through. Hopefully we could maybe reschedule this and make it happen. Is there just any way that the fans can support you guys, or is there anything you would like to promote for the foreseeable future with Aborted?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, due to canceling that tour, we have a huge merch bill to pay, which is already printed. So if anyone wants to support us, and actually they have, they can, because, lots of people are getting laid off and all that. So we're not going to do any GoFundMe or any of that stuff. It's just if you do have the money to spare and you want to get yourself a shirt that you would have gotten at one of the shows, then go ahead and go on Indie Merch. But most importantly, I think it's important that everybody just stays safe and takes care of themselves.
Yeah. You said Indie Merch is where that people can access the Aborted merch. I'll put a link in the description on YouTube.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. And when can we be? And are you allowed to say when the release of the EP is going to be?
It's coming out the 17th this month.
Oh, awesome. So we'll be picking that up very soon. But thank you so much, Sven. Great to talk to you again.
Likewise, man. And take care out there.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll get through this. Everybody, we are here with Sven of Aborted. Be sure to pick up Terrorvision if you haven't already. New EP coming out next week. And be sure to support their merch in the link in the description below. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.